Hi guys, it's Danika, and 2015 is right around the corner. Whoa. With the new year comes a new opportunity to set new goals, to break out of old habits, and that's what I did last year. I came to New York on December 20th. I had, 11 days to kind of decide what I wanted my life to be, and I saw it as this opportunity for change, and it was the new year, and so I set some goals, and it changed my world. And I've learned a lot from setting those goals and keeping a lot of them, and I want to share that with you guys. Okay, my first tip, and something that I learned this year that's a necessity, is to focus on balance, not black and white. So you don't want to have, an all or nothing kind of thing that you can fail at. You want to keep things broad. So that brings me to my second tip, which is don't use the word every day or daily. When you're deciding to start a fitness routine, don't say work out every day. Maybe come up with something a little more positive that is more realistic, like develop a manageable fitness routine or exercise regularly. Something that, doesn't set you up for failure, because it's not realistic to think that you can get to the gym every single day. You might be able to do it for a month or 2 months or 3 months, but set yourself up for success. My next tip is to not change your life all at once, but set goals that can be achieved over time. You don't want to change everything at once because it has to be realistic with your lifestyle. So for me, I committed to January, I would eat well and I would exercise. And then when February came around, I focused on hanging on to those January habits. And then in February, I focused on getting enough sleep. So sleep was my focus for February. So then I held on to those two things. And the third month, it was journaling every day. And then I went to meditating. And each month I added something on so that I had all these new habits by the end of the year. My next tip is to tell people, hold yourself accountable. If you're doing a 30-day food challenge or you are committing to doing something, share it. Share it on Facebook, on social media. Let people know that you're doing it because people want to support you. And the more you are vocal about what you're doing, the easier it's going to be to keep that resolution, because you're going to have committed to that with people, but you're also going to have people holding you accountable. My next tip is to keep your affirmations positive. So when you write something, rather than saying, I am not going to sleep around this year, I don't know why that came to my head. Rather than saying that, say, I am going to be more respectful of my body this year, or I am going to choose my partners more wisely this year. And that is just a more positive way to put that message into the universe. And my last tip actually comes from one of my favorite authors, Danielle Laporte, in her book, The Firestarter Sessions. And she talks about how we're actually chasing a desire, not a specific thing. So she uses the example of a sports car, and she says, when you're trying to figure out what you want, and you write down, I want a nice fancy car, think about what that fancy car means to you. Does that fancy car mean that you are going to be getting validation, that you are going to be noticed, that you will feel important? And rather than write down, I want this fancy sports car, you're going to write down on your list, I want to feel important, because then you can take that desire and you can come up with a lot of different ways that you can feel important that aren't just in the form of a sports car. A couple of my favorite quotes that are big when it comes to New Year's resolutions. The first is, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That stuck with me so much. It's still one of my favorite quotes. We can want a different tomorrow, but if we wake up and we do exactly what we did yesterday, then tomorrow's going to look exactly like it did today. My second quote is, change happens outside your comfort zone. If you're comfortable, that's why you're exactly where you're at right now. If you push yourself, then different reactions will come. So just remember that making changes are not going to be comfortable because they're not your habits. They're not things that you do naturally without a lot of pain. Our bodies adjust to learning these things and these behaviors and habits to make them easier on ourselves. And that comes as a really valuable tool in a lot of things. But when we're trying to break out of a negative habit, it can be really hard to do. So those are my tips for setting your New Year's resolutions and goals. Remember that you should start today. And you don't need a new year to set these goals, but I just think it's a great time to get started. I will share with you guys next week a little bit more about my journey this year and what I've come to realize, and I wish you the best of luck in setting your goals, in this year being your best year yet, and finding what it is that you are on this planet to do and doing it. that is what we're here for. We are all here with a purpose. I have no doubt in my mind we all have something special that we are meant to give to the world. So it's just about uncovering that and then taking the steps towards doing it, because life is supposed to be enjoyable. There's not supposed to be tension, and there's not supposed to be resistance. Once we find what we're meant to do, you know it. And I am here to support you, and I hope these tips help you to set goals that will start off your 2015 in an amazing, awesome way. Thanks so much.